Your physical environment either supports or sabotages your life. Henry David Thoreau wrote, "I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, and reduce it to its lowest terms." He wasn't talking about philosophy. He was talking about life. What you keep, what you discard, and how what remains shapes your life. Your environment shapes and controls your life to a huge degree. And the only question is, did you design that environment deliberately, or did it just happen? So this month, we're looking at chapter 3 from Walden, Where I Lived and What I Lived For. Now, Thoreau knew what he didn't want in his life. He didn't want to be in the city. He didn't want to be around civilization, such as it was. He wanted to be in nature, and his experiment ran 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. He built a 10 by 15 foot cabin, 150 square feet. That was his living space. Not just his bedroom, that was everything. And keep in mind there was no electricity and no indoor plumbing. So that was his place to cook, to sleep, to read, to pontificate, to reflect on life and what he was doing with his life. And he mentions multiple times in the book where people came by to visit him because they probably thought this guy is totally off his nut. He's lost the plot. He walked away from civilization and he's living out here like a hermit in the middle of nowhere all alone. Another thing to consider is the environment in which he built the cabin, where he actually put it. He built on the shores of Walden Pond. That was a very deliberate action on his part, and Walden Pond, aside from being the name of the book, also figures very powerfully and is a very strong part of the narrative throughout the entire book. He very deliberately built what now would be called a tiny home, and you see a movement where a lot of people are getting out of cities and saying, I don't need all this stuff. I'd be happy in a really small space that is my own, and I create it the way that I want it and set it up so that it optimizes the life that I want to live for myself. He did that back in the 1840s. So he was way ahead of the curve on that. And it's reassuring to see that those ideas are being applied today in 2026 by a totally different generation that sees the wisdom in what Thoreau figured out in Walden Pond. Anytime I got into a new space, I did optimize it for what I was there to do. When I was finished with what I was obligated to do as a volunteer, that left usually the afternoon and the evening. So 4, 6, maybe more hours a day, and then Saturdays and Sundays I had all day to do whatever I wanted to do, and with no distractions, I found I was getting a lot more done. It was a very interesting and insightful experience, and one that is available to anybody that wants to take it on. In 2025, I spent the year volunteering down here in South America, and that was maybe 8 or 10 different hosts that I was living with and helping with whatever they needed. And all of those hosts had one thing in common, which was the room that I was staying in was incredibly simple. It basically had just what I needed. So there would be a bed, maybe somewhere to store some clothes, there might be a chair and a table, and that was it. There's no clutter, there's no bookshelf with a bunch of stuff, there's no board games, there's no TV, there's no nothing. So it's a very simple space. And what I noticed was when I moved into that space, if it was for a week or a month or more, I could then shape that space so that it was optimized for what I wanted to do with my time. That might be reading, could be writing, could be doing stuff on my laptop. A lot of it was content creation, so that takes a lot of time. There were no distractions in the space. Now, if I contrast that to the way I was living before, in my condo, I had stuff all over my room. I had bookshelves with tons, like hundreds of books. All the furniture, obviously, in a bedroom. I had half-finished projects, books that I had started to read, things that I had started to write and abandoned halfway through, stacks of clothing. The closet was, just a place to hide stuff, so I didn't have to look at it any longer. And anytime I noticed those things, it did distract me and reminded me, like, oh, there's another project I didn't finish or a book I need to get through, or have to clean out my closet, or have these clothes, or have this other deadline to do whatever. It was way too much. And something about living on the road and volunteering and living in these very simple spaces. So I realize it's very easy when I go in there to establish, what do I want to use this space for? I don't have enough stuff to clutter it up now, which has been incredibly liberating. So now I move into the space, and if I decide I want to do some chops, I'm a drummer. If I want to practice rudiments, I have a practice pad and a pair of sticks. That's all I need. If I want to do some reading or some writing or content creation, whatever it is, I clear off the space so there's nothing else there to distract me, and I focus on what I'm optimizing that space for. That clarity has made a huge difference, and it's something anybody can learn from. If you look around the room you're in right now, what does it say about the environment that you've created? Is it Spartan? Is it stripped down? Simplicity leads to focus, and eliminating distractions makes life so much more intense and enjoyable. So lesson 1 is, your environment is either working for you or against you. It's either supporting you in living the life that you want to live, or it's sabotaging you. Winston Churchill put it this way: we shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. You design your space once, and after that, it determines how you spend your time and how you live your life. A clutter is mental noise, and clarity is found through getting rid of distractions, simplifying your environment, clearing off a space to work, and you have it available so that you can focus on what your task is, as opposed to being distracted by the task that you left half finished on the desk. Now, Thoreau understood this in 1845. Your environment shapes your life. James Clear wrote about this in Atomic Habits. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Very solid resources and potentially life-changing books if you choose to take them on and extract the lessons from them. The Atomic Habits version may be more applicable in terms of it's a realistic approach, as opposed to, is anybody going to sell all their stuff, walk away from society, build a cabin, and go live in the woods for a couple years? But very simple lessons, all coming down to clarity of purpose, and optimizing your environment so that it supports you in what you're trying to do, what you want to do in your life, as opposed to sabotaging and distracting you. Design for what you want to do, not what you want to have. Create the environment and the space so that you'll be able to carry out activities that are important to you. Those might be hobbies, might be learning a language, learning a musical instrument. Make that space conducive to doing that thing. So my drummer friends, all of them in their homes, have a studio set up for their drums. Everything they need is in that room. They might have a recording set up for audio and or video. They might have a video screen, whatever they need to knock out their practice and further hone their craft. So they don't go in there every time and, I have to run these cables and I have to plug this in and I have to make sure this is working. When they go in there, everything's ready to go. If they want to record something, you push one button, done. It's a very simple thing to do. But if you design your environment so there are no distractions, and every time that you want to do whatever it is, it might be a home gym, so that you have everything set up. You have your clothes set up. As soon as you walk in, you get changed, you turn on the music, and you go. That's it. Everything is set up to support the life that you're trying to live. Now, Thoreau built his environment, built his cabin, so that it optimized for what he wanted to do, which was writing, observing, and thinking. No distractions. As a volunteer, I'm living in spaces that are very simple. And when I go in there, I establish for this amount of time, every day or every other day or whatever my schedule is, I'm going to knock out this activity with no distractions. Now, most people design for status or to impress somebody. That's never entered my mind. And anybody that's been into any place that I've ever lived would know that as soon as they walk in the door. Like, this guy is not trying to impress anybody with anything. I design the space so that it reinforces the life that I want to live. And being on the road for 3.5 years now, I'm looking at designing spaces when I establish a home base that's going to be designed to optimize for what I want to do. Ideally for me, that would be having a room that's for yoga and meditation, and having another room that's for music, and probably another room as a study or a library combo because I have a ridiculous amount of books. But I'm getting a much better idea of how much easier it is to live and how much I can focus on what I want to be doing, how I can optimize spaces for specific tasks by eliminating distractions, stripping life down, getting rid of things. Look around the room you're in right now. Is it supporting the life you want to live, or is it just holding a bunch of stuff that you no longer want or need? If you've made it this far in the video, thanks for staying tuned. Please drop a like. Any comments, questions, drop them below. I read every one of them and respond to them. Also, please subscribe if you're not, and please share these videos with anybody you think might enjoy or derive benefit from them. In episode 2, I issued a challenge at the end of the video. Easy mode and hard mode. Easy mode was track one expense over a 7-day period. Just that could be your coffee habit, that could be a streaming service, you choose. Just track how much money you spent on that thing over the course of 7 days. Hard mode, level 2, was freeze your spending in one area for 30 days, so for a full month. And that might be shopping for clothes, that might be your Amazon orders. Again, you pick what it is. And not only freeze that, but bank the money that you would have spent on that item, and at the end of either the 7 days if you did easy mode, or 30 days if you did hard mode, look back at what you learned over the course of that period of time, see how that affected your life, and if that felt good, continue to do it, or modify it so that it better fits whatever it is that you're trying to do. And always the Bruce Lee approach. Take what's useful, discard what isn't, and add what is uniquely your own. Spend the time to actually do it, the 7 days or the 30 days, you choose, and at the end of it, evaluate, is my life better? Did I learn something that I can apply going forward? Is this something I want to continue to do, or do I maybe want to modify this so that it fits me much better? I'm here to tell you to take these lessons, specifically from Walden, about wants versus needs, about tracking your expenses, and this month, in episode 3, about shaping your environment and then letting it shape you. Take what's useful from those lessons. Apply it to your life in whatever way makes sense for you if my challenges don't fit. And iterate. Keep evolving the practice and reaping the benefits over time. These are small ideas that I put into my daily routine, weekly, monthly, so that I could track them over time and see how they're improving my life. And if they're not, I stop doing them and try something different. Now the challenge from this week, this month, episode 3. Easy mode. Pick one surface, a desk, a workbench, a table. Clear it off, and clear everything off of it. And only put things on it when you are using that space. And when you're done, clean all that stuff off so that that surface, again, is clear and ready to go for whenever you need it next. Level 2, hard mode. Pick one room and remove everything that doesn't serve a clear function for an entire month, 30 days. Just one room, you pick it. Might be your bedroom, could be the kitchen, could be a living room, whatever it is. You choose it. Clear out all the stuff that is clutter. Anything that isn't enhancing the environment and making it easier for you to live the life you want to live, to optimize the space for the purpose you want to use it for. Take it out of there for a month and see how you feel at the end of that 30 days. Oh yeah, I noticed I was a lot less distracted, I got a lot more done, or yeah, I can't wait to get that stuff back in here. Your call. Just notice the difference that it makes in your life over that month. So far in the series, in episode 1, we talked about wants versus needs. Episode 2 was economy, tracking your expenses and being very aware of where you're spending money in your life. This time in episode 3, we were talking about your physical space and environment, how that shapes your life and your actions. Next month, in episode 4, we're going to talk about inputs, specifically informational inputs. That can be through your phone, through the internet, TV, newsprint, radio, whatever source that is. It's taking a really good look at the inputs you're allowing in your life and the effects that those are having on your life. We've talked about removal, tracking, and physical space. Next month, we talk about inputs and your media diet. And is it serving you or is it sabotaging you? Thanks for stopping by. Happy trails. See you out on the road next Saturday.